Satnam Namaste. With the solar flares on the rise, as well as Jupiter in the sign of Cancer for a year, it's calling us to become real with our emotions. No longer can we suppress or deny our emotions, and whether you like it or not, they're rising to the surface. So you may also notice that people around you are having more emotional outbursts. Our emotional body is activating as it is playing a very important role in the evolution of humanity. But the emotional body first needs to be purified. And this means all those stuck emotions from childhood need to rise to the surface. And even deeper, stuck emotions from past lives also need to come to the surface to be felt and released. So there's nothing wrong with emotions in themselves. It's when we choose to react from an emotional place. This is where we create suffering for ourselves, our family, our loved ones, our community, and workplace. There's an ancient saying, the wounds from a sword can heal, but the wounds from the tongue can never heal. So what are the origins of these emotional problems? These emotional problems arise because the mind ego are the masters of projection. This is when you're feeling emotional and the mind and ego will blame everything and anything outside of yourself for how you're feeling. From the people in your life, to the food you just ate, to your life circumstances, to your past. The capital T truth is buried emotions are releasing from deep within you. That's all that's happening. So now is the time to take full responsibility for your emotions in each and every situation. Now is the time to explore where these emotions come from. And each person will go through their unique emotional process. It takes self-discipline to stop and ask yourself, why am I emotional right now? What is this all about? So let's explore how this works with an example. So for example, say you're in a meeting and someone cuts you off while you're in mid-sentence. You feel angry and then the ego starts. That person is rude. How dare they? I'm not even finished yet. Then you react. You then say something snarky or interrupt them, and off you go, both in an argument. Or you may withdraw into yourself and seethe inside, playing over the scenario over and over again. This is what is called an emotional trigger, meaning that the other person unconsciously pressed the detonation button for you. So all of those buried emotions inside you can move. In essence, so that you can heal. So when taking full responsibility, you don't react in the moment. You explore the trigger later when you have some alone time. Ask yourself, why did being cut off make me so angry? Just calmly asking the question will activate your intuition to provide answers, which may come through a memory flashback, a knowingness, a feeling. So perhaps as a child when you spoke, your family cut you off or talked over you all the time. As a child, you felt powerless and invisible, like what you said did not matter. You felt shame for daring to speak, and eventually you just closed down. So what happens here is your ego compensates with anger when those feelings of powerlessness, shame, and sadness come up. So never stop with just the anger. That is where the ego wants you to live. Whenever you feel anger, that's a sure sign that there are buried emotions underneath that are wanting to be felt and released. So what does it mean to take emotional responsibility? This is a quality of a spiritual adult. Because as a humanity, we're all growing up. We're evolving into this spiritual adulthood. Number one is owning your feelings. Often when we are in conflict with another person, It's like it's two childhood patterns that are fighting with one another. Each person is projecting their emotions onto another. And it only takes one person to step out of the pattern to open up a space for clarity and healing. So begin to own what you're feeling and keep this untangled from the other person. I remember being in a grocery store lineup once, and the person ahead of me was angry at the cashier because she wasn't moving fast enough. And I could tell the clerk took on some of the anger and was mentally blaming herself. I told the clerk that that person was angry before she came into the store, and she'll continue to be angry when she leaves. It really has nothing to do with you. She's just an angry person. So certain people can trigger emotions in you, but those emotions are already inside you, whether this person is with you or not. Number 2, honoring. So to honor your emotions means to allow them, not suppress them or deny them. This can be scary territory for someone who has spent a lifetime in control of their emotions. We inherit our emotional patterns from childhood. Was there a space for you as a child to express emotions? How were you taught to manage your emotions? The ego mind, depending on your conditioning, will tell you that you're weak and that if you indulge in your emotions, you'll never escape these uncomfortable feelings. So remember, emotions operate in a wave-like pattern, meaning they'll move through your body if you welcome them and be patient as they travel through you. Number 3, go deep. When emotions come up, resist the urge to just skid the surface. These emotions go back to childhood. Explore where these buried emotions come from. During this time, you will experience childhood flashbacks. Memories from long ago will begin to surface. These emotions are the secret keys for opening your heart. Your heart is a doorway into your authentic self. This is where you reclaim your innocence, the Christ consciousness. The prophecy of the return of Christ during this time is the return of Christ consciousness to humanity. That's our innocence. And entering the kingdom of heaven does not mean that some will be chosen to go up in a cloud somewhere for eternal peace and bliss. The kingdom of heaven lives within your own heart. Number 4, guidance. Your emotions may also be communicating messages to you. This is for you and only you to discern. It may mean that things that you put up with before you can no longer tolerate. It may mean that you cannot live up to the expectations of other people anymore. You have to be yourself. Your emotions will show you where you need to make changes in your life. Right? How does it feel to be in your present job? How does it feel to be with certain people? How does it feel to live where you live? And trust the feelings that come up and be honest with yourself. And here is a link to a Kundalini Yoga meditation to help move this energy along and to open up your heart. So click the link above. And if you're interested in identifying these patterns from your childhood, the 12-week Lighten Up program goes deep into deconditioning all those negative patterns that have been imprinted since childhood. Sadnam Namaste.